Overall, without getting into the kind of spoilers territory, what you just saw yourself on this particular season? What were some of the things that sort of made it feel fresh and exciting to come back?
I always knew that it would be fresh and exciting just by the definition of the history of the last 3 years. They've always seemed to change it up. The show moves on because there's a cast change, pretty regularly. And there's a location change as well. It's just the nature, it's sort of inherent in the nature of the show. But when I read the first script, I was really surprised and thrilled with where they've, certainly for my character, selfishly, I just read it first of all as my character, and where they put Rick at the beginning of this season is nowhere near what I anticipated. And for that reason alone, I was very, very happy.
Yeah, it's been really jaw-dropping, their commitment to Tyreese. Each and every script just wow. So that was intimated in last year. That's really towards the end, the commitment to the development of this guy, us, the audience, opening him up, getting an opportunity to see who he is, and they've been spot on with that. So it's amazing on the selfish end. And there's so much more going on as well. I mean,
they put pressure on the group in a completely new way, and also made the zombies terrifying again in one fell swoop. And they've done it, and it's very, very smart.
Yeah.
And that was exciting as well.
But the last group mentioned about the prison being a little more civilized looking this season, maybe a little more homey even, and
as much as
they can be, correct, of course.
Homey, yeah.
But and obviously you can't say if and when you're leaving the prison and on the run again. But so what threat? I mean, the governor's dropped obviously, but what threats might you face this season besides if you're just kind of hanging out at home?
Well, I mean, those of you who saw the Formula promo have a good idea that, once again, there's threats from within. Mm-hmm. There's human threats. It's a world in which the walkers predominate more than ever. And they're pressing in upon them. They're not just out in one walker in a field somewhere. They're omnipresent, and they're pretty ravenous. And boy, does Greg Nicotero have some new tricks up his sleeve. It's unbelievable.
He showed me one zombie that I think is equally on par with the well zombie, which I thought was amazing a couple of seasons ago.
And we're also really excited because Greg directed the season premiere.
Yeah.
And what we saw, if you look at what Scott did in episode 312 and Clear, he came up with some really incredibly intricate defense mechanisms that Morgan had done to sort of prepare themselves for the zombies. So you see sort of like how people are evolving their defenses against zombies, and then also how the zombie threat can still continue to overwhelm even when you've had more time to prepare.
And Grace Walker, our production designer, he's done a remarkable job again this season.
In such short time frames as well, he gets shown the scripts, and these guys are magnificent. The locations they find, the detail. That's the thing that I loved about Clear as well, is the detail in that design. It really helps us as actors as well to sort of walk into these. They're not sets; they're kind of environments.
Now, have you folks, I assume that the executives have, but the actors, have you read the source material, the comics?
I haven't read all of them. I read some. I have working knowledge of what has occurred in this character. I was told when I signed on, this is the blueprint, and the Bible will refer to it as we need to, but this is also the television version is also a new way to explore different things. We may go here, we may go there. So just stay open, take the ride. Let's keep talking, and as we need you to reference that to be perfectly clear about a particular arc for the character. That's the way it works. That's the way it's been working for me.
I was my first thought when I was watching Tyreese is, man, I can't wait for the gym scene. That has not come yet. It's like, man. There's a sequence in which he goes into a gymnasium. He gets locked in with like 4,000 walkers, and they assume he's dead. And then 4 days later, he's banging on the door because he killed everybody single-handedly.
You're like, let's write that in.
That comic looks great, man.
We do that, right?
How the evolution of the zombies how the evolution of the zombies affects the inner dynamics of the group.
Wow.
Very badly.
Everything gets claustrophobic.
Yeah, the pressure from inside and outside is equally matched. If I can talk in riddles for the rest of the afternoon, I will do my level best. Yeah.
I'm curious, I don't know how much you can talk about this, but you talked about loss and how it's a big part of the show. Because Andrea was gone for most of the season, does her loss affect the group as much as some of the other?
It's a very good point, and I think certainly for Rick, it was one of the turning points, along with my son becoming a murderer. That were two very, very important beats that made him rethink the way and his responsibilities as a father, but also rethink maybe his whole attitude to surviving in this world. And that's where you arrive, certainly episode 1.
You know, I mean, think about, when you said, essentially let the Woodburyite stay, and Carl looked at you like,
It's just
no,
like,
they're the enemy, we killed the enemy.
yeah.
And that was a really interesting dynamic, and for him especially.
It's a huge call for someone that has been pushing people away and not trusting and leaving their bags by the roadside, and not hitchhikers don't get a look in, for the whole season. For him to say, come in, Andrea's death must have had a profound impact. She was trying to do what Rick probably would have tried to do 2 seasons ago. She was trying to unify two groups of warring people.
The Rick and Carl relationship has just become so mesmerizing to see what's evolving between them. What's it been like for you to have that relationship with such a gifted young actor and see him really coming into his own?
Oh, it's been magnificent. It's a treat, man. I get to see this guy grow up in front of me. And I said at Comic-Con as well, his voice has dropped, so I have to drop my voice as well. And he's got more hair than Stephen Young, which is amazing, on his top lip. So, no, he's growing up, this guy. He's, no, he hasn't. I'm not exaggerating. Please don't quote me. I'm done. It's a done deal. Sorry, Stephen. Put that in parentheses. But he's a great guy, and I love. There are certain relationships that you just look forward to when you see it in the call sheet and you read a new script. And this is great because there's a burgeoning relationship here, which is fascinating. And it's interesting having 3 alpha males in a setup now, and that's kind of quite a combustible mix. But certainly and also 4, 3.5. He's a young man who's got different attitudes to his dad. Now that's what growing up is. It's about sort of, I'm not you. However much you think it's about that wrestling match as well.
And they don't get to grow up and go off to college either.
I'm sure we'll find one. Herschel will be sort of like,
Gale, for you as a producer with Carl, a lot of other shows when they have kid actors, they end up not having a good fate because they grow up too fast. How do you keep Carl?
You just threaten him with being bitten.
It's interesting because I worked with Chandler actually before The Walking Dead. I did a film on Lifetime called The Wronged Man that starred Julia Ormond, and Chandler played Julia's son. But he's been pretty cooperative and he's not taller than you yet, so that's a good thing. And we're planning those lifts in your shoes.
Thank you.
Okay?
I can't bear the fact when he's going to be just talking to him, seeing him like that. So what? What are we going to do now? It's going to be great.
But because you know the every season we're picking up a year. I mean, the comic book, you realize that he hasn't grown very much.
No, I think Charlie just likes to draw him the same size. It's sort of got a little bit of red.
But in the show, it makes sense. I mean, you know, we're going to be able to hopefully, should she stick around, do the same thing with Baby Judith.
Yeah.
No, with with the addition of the new group, and of course Tyreese joining, as you mentioned, he's a big part of the comic, and it's its own show. Obviously, it's gone on its own route. You mentioned the three alpha males. Daryl's very loyal. Tyreese is a gentle giant, very passive. Is like a nice person. Will there be any sort of power struggle between who wants to lead the group with the new group coming in?
It's a tough question.
You know, look at the 4-minute promo.
Sorry, I
Pay
missed it.
very
I'm sorry.
close
Have you seen
attention.
it?
Yeah, I missed it. No, I'm sorry.
And I think you'll be able to answer your own question.
I think what you'll see in this season is that the power dynamics will be very different, right? So it'll come out from a different angle than what you would be expecting. And so the evolution of those power dynamics over the course of the season is going to be one of the major things that we're going to be playing with.
I think in these scripts that I've read so far, I think you really understand the impact the world is making on these people's psyches a lot more. I think that so much of the show has been kinetic and very much in the moment. Now it feels like there's breathing space, and you really feel the full impact of how it really is psychologically changing a lot of these people. You know, which I for me is a very, very interesting area to explore.
What do you guys love about Comic-Con when you come here? What's the thing that just makes you smile?
It's the fans. It's got to be the fans. It's the reason why we're here, you know. And I have fond memory because this is my 4th Comic-Con. The first time, it was terrifying, and because the only people that really knew about this work were comic book fans.
We hadn't aired yet.
We hadn't aired. This was their mecca. So it's the most daunting audience. But their reaction off stage when we saw the first promo was extraordinary, and also their questions. They watch this show in a way that we work on the show. They care. They want to know the details. They're fascinated, like you guys are. The questions you ask are great, and they're all things that we question as well, and we care about, I suppose. And it was also great seeing grown men in spandex.
It's the passion. It's definitely the passion of people and being able to see it play out right in front of you. You know, Gale and I were beside each other at the day signing, and just so many beautifully amazing. I mean, people literally shaking, you know, and just like, oh God, this is the greatest experience I've had in my life. So to be a part of the creation of something that can impact people in that way, just to see it played out before me, is on a lot of levels relatively new for me. So it's just like, wow.
You know, my mum and dad were shaking when they found out you were in the show because they loved the wine.
Oh, is that right?
Like, you've got Chad Coleman.
You know, yeah, of course this wine is amazing, but these fans are, it's far more effusive, you know, and they're extremely creative in how they express their love, you know.
That's all the web stuff as well. It's magnificent. People making things and doing it. It's that sort of interaction that I like. You really get an honest reaction when you show the promo. And it's the first time we kind of send out the new work each year. It's an exciting moment for all of us.
You have to respect someone, you know, who spends the night, you know, out waiting to get into Hall H, to possibly watch panels they may not even be that interested in, just so they can see our panel and be in the same room. I mean, we feel that same thing about being in the room with them. Because we're obviously not the Emmy-winning series, so we're not on the air because we have a huge hall of gold statues. We're on the air because of our fans. So,
for me coming back here, it's like coming home. This is like where I just come here as a fan the decades before coming here as part of the show. So like being on the other side of things, being on the stage as opposed to in the audience is kind of amazing. It's like a dream come true. But it's also at the same time, I love just walking around and wishing the sun and doing all this stuff because that's what I grew up doing. So it's like to get to do both.
You guys have fans coming up to you telling you what they think should happen to your character.
We've had that in the
All
panel.
panel. Everyone says that I should hook up with Michelle. They're convinced they said no, it's going to happen, and I was like, right. So
And then they wanted a threesome.
and then Norman Reedus, they said maybe Norman could join us. So that's the.
And so we have
They'll be joining the writing team as well.
50 Shades of Grey. What was it? That was fan fiction inspired by.
Yeah.
So there is probably going to be some incredibly erotic fan fiction hit inspired by the panel.
You guys may have a whole different relationship.
Oh yeah, and we're in a prison.